Welcome to this episode of Learn Fusion. In today's episode, we're going to be covering animating within Fusion using the Keyframe Editor. So let's roll this intro and let's jump into it.
We're learning Fusion together. We'll learn 2D stuff and 3D stuff and particle stuff and compositing stuff, deep pixel stuff and tracking stuff, but not other stuff, but some other cool stuff, because we're learning Fusion together.
So within Fusion, we pretty much have the ability to animate everything within Fusion. So let's go ahead and build something real quick so I can show you this and explain what I mean. So we're going to add a multi-merge, and we're going to bring in a background, an ellipse. Let's go ahead and connect that. Let's shrink this down. Let's give us a little dot up here. And let's just copy this. We're going to paste it and put that to our multi-merge. And let's move our other dot over here. Let's go ahead and recolor these. So we're going to make this one a white, and let's make this one like the color of her hair, maybe ish. There we go. And let's go ahead and rename these. So I'm going to hit F2, and I'm going to name this white dot and white background. And you can multi-name that. I don't think I showed you that. So if I just grab both of these and hit F2, I can type in yellow dot. When I hit enter, the next one will come up. So yellow background. So there we go. Naming convention. We talked about that. Important. So now we know what's going on with these nodes. So our yellow dot and animation. So on pretty much every node, we can animate almost every thing within that node. So even our color nodes, if I brought in a color node, you notice we've got these little animation keyframe areas here. So in our yellow dot, if I want to change the location of it, I could just create a keyframe by clicking the little keyframe area, and it created a keyframe. And if I go to the end and I just move our little dot, it's automatically going to create our next keyframe. And this little arrow next to our keyframes, there may be one on this side. That just means previous or next keyframe. So if I click it, it's going to go to the previous. If I click it to this side, it's going to go to the next. And if I wanted to delete that keyframe, I could just click on that keyframe again, and that deleted it. And I can just recreate it by moving that up. So there we go. We've got animation. Now, like I said, I can pretty much keyframe everything that has animation within it. So anything within your nodes that have these little keyframe animations, I can animate it. And by default, most of them are going to be off. Now, some nodes, mind you, are going to automatically create keyframes no matter where you are. So for example, let's say I am on frame 32 here, and I wanted to bring in a little polygon node to create a polygon on my graphic here. So I brought it in and created my polygon. And I was like, oh, whoops, let me be on frame 1. And let me change my polygon to go around my little actress here. And I push play. Now you see it's animated. That's because when I brought it in on frame 32, it automatically creates a keyframe. Whereas some other nodes, like this one, even if I change it here and I move, you notice there's no keyframe. I have to tell it to create a keyframe. But some do it automatically. Just keep that in mind so it doesn't mess you up. So back to our yellow dot. So let's say on frame 24, I wanted it to be at this size. I could keyframe my height and width. I can go back to frame 0 and I could change the scale. So now it's keyframed like that. Going from small to big. But now let's say, well, wait, I didn't want it on frame 24. I actually wanted it on frame 50. There's no way to grab these little keyframes, which that's what these little white things are. That's keyframes within your timeline ruler. But I can't grab them and move them. I would have to go here and delete the keyframes, change it, and redo my keyframes. Or I could use a keyframe editor. So the Keyframe Editor. Let's go ahead and open it up. And when I open up the Keyframe Editor, you can see we see all of our nodes with little keyframe areas right here. And if I hit this fit button, you can see we have one issue right here. So not all the time will Fusion pick up the fact that our little Fusion set right here is only 99 frames, because this was the length of our original footage. So it's assuming that you're going to possibly use the entire length of your original footage, which is our media in coming in. So we can go over here and we can just grab these and shorten them up, so they're all the same length. It really doesn't matter. But I like things being nice and tidy. So there we go. So these are all of our nodes with our animation on it. And you know there's animation if we have these little drop downs. So if I select this drop down, you can see our yellow dot has our center path, which is our path. And then it has our width and the height, which was our scale that was changing. So if we didn't want this, say on frame 24, which is where it is, and we wanted it on frame 50 over here, I could just select these keyframes and then drag them over to frame 50. And if you notice, if I select our yellow dot, it just changed our keyframe to frame 50. So if I drag these again, you can see those keyframes are changing on our time ruler. So now if I play, it's now on frame 50. Or I could say I wanted it on 48 instead. And that is the whole point to the Keyframes editor in a nutshell. But I'm going to go over this in detail so you can work with it better. So firstly, navigating around your little keyframe editor, if I hold my control and I use my mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out. And wherever your mouse pointer is, that's where it's going to zoom into. Additionally, I can hold my Alt in my mouse wheel and it'll move left and right. I can also go here and change the scale with a scale slider. And if I want to fit everything in, that's what this button's for. It's just to zoom fit everything within your window. Right here, if I want to zoom into a specific area, I can click this little zoom button, click and drag, and it's going to zoom into that area. Now, right now, all of our nodes within our little node tree are showing up here, but we may not want everything in our node tree. So there's ways to organize these and filter them and clean them up so it makes more sense. So that's what this button right here is for. This is for filtering and organizing. So firstly, the best button is this animated. So if I only want to show my animated areas or nodes that have animation on it, I can just select animated, and only nodes that have animated keyframes on it are going to show up. So if I uncheck that animated again, and let's go to our little white dot, and I'm just going to add a keyframe. It doesn't actually have to be animated. It just has a keyframe on it. You notice now it has a center path displacement keyframe on it right there. And say I didn't want that at a frame 25 where I accidentally put it. I can just select it and drag it on over to frame 0. So now it's where I wanted it. But if I go back here and select animated, you can see only those two are showing up. But to show you the rest of these, I have to uncheck animated. So we have all tools. We have hierarchy, which is just going to show the hierarchy of our node tree. We can reverse it. We can show by name, so it's alphabetically going to list from top to bottom. We can go by types, so by the type of node it is. In the start, and I'm not going to select it yet because I got to make a few changes. But if I go in here and let's say our white background, I didn't want to start until the 5th frame, and our white dot, I didn't want to show up until, come on, you can do it. I didn't want to show up until the 20th frame. If I go here and I select start, it's going to organize them by what's starting first. So anything that's showing up first from frame 0 and then on. So start, you can see it's organized by start to end. So whatever's showing up first is going to be up top and so on. So let's reset that back. Now additionally, I had the ability, if I select our little options button over here, I can show only selected tools. So if I select this, only tools I'm clicked on in my node tree are going to show up in our keyframe editor. So if I select white dot, it's our white dot. If I select the multi-merge, it's the multi-merge. Media in, it's the media in. If I uncheck it, they're all going to show up again. I can also show all, which it's on, show none, back to show all. I can also select what filter I want to use, and I'll come back to that here in a second. Now this show tools at current time will just show tools at specific time. Meaning if, let's go back to our little white background, and I'm going to change that. If no tools are in the specific time, it's not going to show that tool. So if I select show tools at current time, you see that just disappeared. If I push play, it pops in as soon as it's showing up on that time. So push play, it's going to disappear and then pop up. Now, sometimes this does get a little glitchy and it doesn't work, as well as a lot of the other tools. For example, just simply dragging your little footage around won't work within this keyframe editor. And if it starts doing that and starts doing weird glitchy stuff, just save your project, shut it down, restart it, and this keyframe editor will operate correctly again. But show tools at current time is often glitchy and will stop working. So we're going to uncheck that. Now this create edit filters is where these come in. And if you remember right, when we went over our little Fusion settings, under our timeline, this is where these filters come in play. So if you notice, I have a few that I've made. So my keyframe filter right here, I unselected any media out or saver nodes. Additionally, I unselected any merges because those will all show up. So if I go here and select that filter I created, you can see all of those disappeared. So it's not going to list. So if I wanted to create a new one and I didn't want to, I don't know, say these background nodes in it, I could create edit filter, create new. I can rename it. And over here, I want to just make sure I tell it to use that filter. And I can go here and select what I do and don't want on it. So if I didn't want my media in node or my saver nodes or my media outs or my loaders, I can hit save. So you notice our media in is there. If I drop down and go to our little example, our merge is back in, but our little media out or media in is no longer there. And if I needed to edit that because I didn't want these multi-merges in there either, I can go to create edit, select my example, go to my composite nodes, get rid of these merge, dissolve, and multi-merge, hit save. And if I go uncheck it and then reload it, you notice our multi-merge isn't there anymore. So that's a good way to create your own filters so you can filter out what does and doesn't show up in your keyframe editor. So I'm going to go back to mine and actually let's show all. Now down here we can expand tools. So if we expand it, everything with the expandable tool is going to expand. We can collapse them. We can also show values. So if I go to our yellow dot right here, you notice we don't have values. If I select show values, we have new little drop downs for each one of them. And if I drop down our width, it's showing the value of our width. And if I uncheck it, they'll go away. And down here, I can select to show the spreadsheet, and I'll get to this in a second. So as I showed earlier, we can change the location or change how these are coming in. So if I don't want my, say, little white dot there to be coming in until frame 20, I can just drag it on over. Now, our little white dot is hidden until frame 20. Same with our yellow. If I wanted our yellow, and I'll expand this so you can see this is moving. If I wanted our yellow to be at frame 5, I can select those keyframes and just drag them on over to frame 5. So now they'll pop in as I tell it to pop in. Now additionally, if I want to drag my entire bar over, if you notice our little arrow changes from an arrow going left to right, I can click and drag that however I want. And if you notice, we'll get these little arrows over here if we drag beyond. So this little arrow just means we have footage going in front of our 0 spot. Additionally, it'll have arrows going to the back if it's going beyond our footage area. Now, another way to adjust our keyframes is using this little area down here. So if I go to our little white dot here and I select this keyframe, you notice it's coming up with 20, which means it's on frame 20. So this is the time selection. So I could technically come in here and type frame 40, and now it just moved it to frame 40. I can go back to 20, and it moves it back to 20. Now, if I want to move it by an offset, so a time offset, I could offset by 10. So it's offsetting that by 10. Or I can change my time scale. So right now it's scaled at 1. And if I said 0.5, it'll be half that time. But you notice it just changed back to 1. So it's not going to hold that value. That's going to be its new value. I know this is confusing, but 1 is now its new value. Because if I type in 0.5 again, it's just going to be 0.5 of that original time. Additionally, we mentioned this little spreadsheet right here. And this is another thing that gets a little glitchy, and sometimes you got to shut down and save for it to work. Because if I select our white dot and I select our spreadsheet, we should have info up here. So sometimes you get 0 info up here. Even though you're clicking on all your stuff, you'll have no information in your little spreadsheet here. And in that case, you just save, restart your project, and it'll start showing back up. Now, where this spreadsheet comes in handy, especially if you have tons and tons and tons of keyframes, is we can simply type in here to alter things. If I go to our center path, it's going to tell us what frame our keyframe's on. So this one's on frame 5, and let's go ahead and stretch this back to 0. And our path displacement right here is just showing us our values from 0 to 1 of our keyframes, and not necessarily a specific number. And I'll show you that here in a second. But firstly, we can change what keyframes these are occurring on. So I could retype this to frame 0. Now our keyframe is on frame 0. So now our path is going from 0 all the way to 99 and it's full length. Additionally, I can add keyframes on here. So let's say on frame 50, I wanted it to be at frame 50. It's going to give us our default value of where it should be right here. So on frame 50, it should be at 0.5, but I have a few ways of changing that if I need to. I can simply go in here and type 0.5 exactly, and I can change it. Now, mind you, changing some of these ones that were already in here. So if I wanted to go here and go to 0, type in 0.25, sometimes it'll change, sometimes it won't. But now we have 3 keyframes in there we added from our spreadsheet, and you can keep adding keyframes if you want. And like I said, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't change these original numbers. But for other things, let's say we added let's add a blur behind this. And on our blur, we're just going to go up here and we're going to knock this down to 0, add a keyframe. We're going to go to the end and let's change our blur here. So now we've got a new blur node. And if we go to our little blur size here, we see our keyframes in our spreadsheet. And even though these were originally written here, we can go in here and I can say 20 and it's going to change my blur. So just mind you, some of these we can change and some we can't. And it seems that mostly some of these original displacements won't allow us to change them. But other original values like blurs and colors and different stuff we can change even on the original keyframe. And again, if I wanted to add one, I could go to frame 40. And on frame 40, I can change this to 10. So now if I play it, you can see it slowly blurs and goes up. So that's using the spreadsheet. And we can turn that on and off by going here as well. We don't have to go over here to show spreadsheet. Now over here, we have this little time stretch, and don't get this confused by our actual like timeline stretching, like slowing and speeding up footage. It's not that kind of time stretch. So if I go back here and whoopsie, let's go ahead and add a few keyframes on our little white dot here. Let's go to the end and let's change that keyframe. Let's say we're on frame 30. We want it to be all the way down here. I go back and play. You can see we got our animation. Now, if I wanted to change this, I could select these two keyframes, select our little time stretch, and it's going to give us this little box around these two keyframes. And I could click and drag that however I want. And what it's going to do is it's going to change the location of our keyframes without changing anything else. So now we've got that, and it speeds up. If I wanted to change it back to something else, I can just select them, or I could select all of them if I wanted to. Click this little time stretch, change it, unselect it. Now it's all changed. There we go. Now, as far as our right-click options within our keyframe editor, it's going to be different depending on where we click. So let's actually go ahead and select this animated here. If I click on any of these, our little submenu is going to be basically the same as it is within our little node area when we right-clicked. The only difference is we get these edit splines, edit controls. These edit splines really don't make a difference here. This is primarily for our spline editor. Our edit controls, we can select this, but I would not change anything if I were you. Additionally, we can rename it if we want. We can cache it. We can change the color. So on our little yellow dot, I can change this to yellow. And as soon as I deselect, you notice it's changed. I could change our blur to purple. So now it's purple. Under modes, we have all the same modes that we did on our right click on our nodes. Same with set render. We can reset this trim. So if we change the trim, like if we change our trim down, if I right click and I hit reset trim, it's going to reset it to its original length. Under our settings, we still have the same load, save as load default stuff. We have scripts into edit. We can add new ones, and we can show control items. Now what this show control items is if we go to, say, our little yellow dot here, anything that is animatable, including all this stuff like our motion blur and our GPU and all that stuff, we can view all that. So if I right click, show control items, it's showing everything on that node that I can add animation to, or I can turn them off. Now, if I right click on my actual little animation area over here, I can change my scale. So I can zoom in, scale to fit, and let's go ahead and bring that back over. Right click, scale to fit. I can change my display point values, meaning if I drop this down, right click, right click, display point values, it's going to give us these little points instead of lines. I can change how my auto snap works, so I can have none. So if I go in here, let me go ahead and zoom in. Now I can just move my keyframe wherever I want. You notice it's just crazy in between frames there. I can have it on frame. I can have it on field, which is going to be at 0.5 intervals. Meaning if I click and drag, it's going to snap at 0.5 intervals. So I can have 39.5 or 40, 40.5. Or I can snap to markers, which I'll go over here in a second. And I'll cover the auto snap markers when I go over those, and I can enable the marker grab. Under line size, this is going to change the overall size of our line here. So if I go here, I can create large ones if I want. Back to minimum. If I want to change all my line sizes, I can select all line sizes and change them all to medium or however I want. I have the same view on controls, same cut, copy, paste settings, and delete. And again, these edit splines and spline controls are mainly for our little spline editor up there. Cache to disk, set to color. Again, we can change our colors. Our modes are the same. Same with our reset trim and our settings. On our script, we can add and edit new scripts. This allows us to show the spreadsheet for that specific thing, whatever we're clicked on. Show the controls. We can save the current selection, and we can change our tree order. And what this means is if I want to change my order, I can. So right now we've got yellow dot, blur, white dot. If I want to change this, I can reorder them, but you notice I can't just click and drag and move it. We have to do that by right-clicking and hit tree item order selection. And what's going to happen as soon as I hit start, I'm going to click from first to last. So start, I want white dot to be 1, my yellow dot to be 2, and my blur to be 3. When I go here, I select end. Now it's 1. It should have been 1, 2, 3. I don't know why it ordered that way. How do we have this? All tools, animated, yes. But that's how it should have. So I can hit start. If I want blur to be 1, white to be 2, yellow to be 3, and it's not doing it. But that's what it's supposed to do. So again, this is another case. If you really needed to do that, you would have to save, shut down, go back in, and then it would work properly. Now, as far as markers, we can add markers within here. So if I right click anywhere, I can just select add marker. So I've got a little marker. And once I have a marker, I can right click it, show my marker list, and we're going to get a little list of markers right here. And if I click it, I can double click to rename it. So I can rename it stop here. I can select whether I want this available within my spline and my keyframe, meaning I can have it available in my little spline editor as well. If I don't, I can uncheck it. But I've got a little keyframe. And the good thing about this is these keyframes are also available within our edit page. So when I go to edit page, you notice we've got a keyframe. Same with if I add one within this edit page. So if I go here and I wanted a marker, I can add a marker. Even if I wanted a different color, I wanted a purple. If I go back to my Fusion page, we've got a new little marker. So if you needed to mark anywhere within your edit page where you need a specific VFX to happen, you could use that marker. And this is where right here under our options, our auto snap markers comes into play. We can change it to the frame or the field. I can select this snap to markers as well. So if I click this, it'll automatically snap to that marker. If I click this one, it'll automatically snap to that marker. So now it's aligned to markers. And I can go here, I can add another one. I can show the marker list. I can add a new one straight from this list if I want to. So if I needed one at frame 10, start here. There we go. I've got a new one at frame 10. Now, as far as our media in, our little left and right audio here, actually, let's go ahead and let's create something new. Let's just grab a new video, and then let's grab some music here. One of my little beats, I guess. We can shorten this up. And then let's shorten this up. So we can make it kind of loop. Let's go ahead and cut this. Get rid of that. And let's create a new Fusion comp. And let's jump into Fusion. Go back and push play. We can start seeing our little wave file there. And let's go to audio, and I'm going to purge that clip so it plays faster. All right, so you can see we've got our wave file going right here. And if I right click, if I go to my line size, I can change the size of that wave file if I want. I can make it large or medium, but you can see your wave file in there. So we could grab something like this little color corrector right here, and let's go ahead and keyframe our hue. And then we can add little keyframes on each one of these little beats here. So now we got all that keyframed. And you can do all kinds of other stuff if you wanted. So that is the Keyframe Editor real quick. Tomorrow we're going to cover the Spline Editor and cover more animation within Fusion. So I will see you in the next episode.